Timon! Hey everybody, welcome back to another edition of Recapping the Past. We are almost done with Saved by the Bell, thank God. I am one of I guess, I don't know, main host, whatever, we're co-hosts. I'm one of your co-hosts, Soda, Matt Mageau, whatever you want to call me. As usual, I'm joined by my good friend, Ben Rayner. How are you doing, my man?
I'm doing well. I need this right now.
I'm not to get into anything, but we all need a good distraction.
Yeah, we need an outlet. That's all. We need an outlet.
And what better way to do it than recording shows about your friends, talking about the things you love.
Exactly.
Yeah. So today we are on what is my personal favorite iteration of Saved by the Bell. It is Saved by the Bell, the college years. So I don't know about you, but I remember watching this when it aired live.
Yeah, me too. It's not my favorite, but the college years is definitely up there for me.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
And we're also talking Wedding in Las Vegas, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yes, we are also gonna. Originally, our plan was we're gonna do the two movies together, but because this is so intricately tied with how the college years ends, we're gonna do this movie now. We're gonna do the first movie next week, and then we're gonna do the reboot.
Okay.
Right. So yeah. So basically, what happened was Saved by the Bell, the original series ended. NBC came up to the creators and said, "Hey, look, we want to continue with some of these characters, but we want to see them in college." And so with that, in the original pilot, they brought back Screech, they brought back Slater, and they brought Zach Morris. And then after that, in the next episode, they brought back Kelly because she decided she wanted to do the show after all. So basically, this season only ran for 19 episodes. Probably the biggest mistake they did was putting the show in prime time, because Saved by the Bell was a Saturday morning show. And then with college years, because it was slightly more mature, they put it, if I'm not mistaken, I read they put it opposite of Full House, which at the time was a massive mistake. Because Full House, I think, was in their final season.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, it ended in 94. It got canceled in 94. So, but basically, this is the gang going from being big fish in a small pond to being little tiny minnows in a big ocean.
Exactly. But there's a lot of great episodes in this one season.
Yes, they did a lot of the character development they did with the four returnees was amazing. Spoilers for when we get to the reboot. I really don't like how they completely ignored the growth for a lot of these characters, for two characters in particular.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I'm talking about? We will get to that when it comes. But yeah, so basically, pilot episode, Zach, Screech, and Slater start their school at Cal U, and things don't go necessarily as planned. Like, Slater gets his ass kicked in wrestling and is actually thinking of leaving. And yeah, it's just, there's a lot of shenanigans, the usual shenanigans we're used to, but it's them trying to find their way in the world when they're no longer top of the heap.
So this is your number 5?
No, I was just saying that pilot spoilers is not on my list.
Okay.
Yeah, so you know what? Why don't we just hop right into it? Like I said, this was a great show. You want to start off with your number 5?
Sure. My number 5 is Dr. Kelly.
Not on my list.
Okay, so this episode, Kelly decides she wants to be a doctor. She tells Zach Melissa, so she changes career paths and ends up working at essentially what is a Hooters ripoff.
Yeah, with Alex.
What?
With Alex.
With Alex, right. And the whole episode he's trying to get to the stop, can't do it, but it's not unnecessary. Let me put it like that. What do you think of this episode?
See, it's a good episode, but here's the thing, like, I love this whole season so much. It's just like, was really hard to make a list because there's so many great episodes. But this is where Zach Zach was a real big asshole. Like, one of the major instances of him in this season being an asshole. Where he tells Kelly, like, why bother? Who the fuck says that to their friend?
Not me.
Not me either. At least not anymore. Spoilers, I used to be, I wasn't an asshole, but I mean, I was a dick. Let's just say that. Okay. But yeah, no, it was a good episode, and it was a learning moment for both Kelly and Zach. It really was.
And it showed me how much thought they have for each other. How
Mhm.
much? Not fun. How much?
How much they love each other. Let's just
Yeah,
put
yeah,
it out on
yeah,
Front Street. Put
yeah,
it on Front Street, and that was evidence from the very first moment Kelly appeared on this show.
yeah. So what's your number five, Matt?
Love and Death.
What?
So basically, the brief synopsis is the death of a popular professor leads Zach to adopt a new attitude towards life, one filled with risk. So pretty much, Zach tries to he scales down the school, down the wall of the college, and Screech gets stuck upside down. Speaking of which, I love that they added the bloopers at the end of this episode, so you get to see the one of Mark Paul Gosselaar in the back while Screech is upside down, thus yanking on the fucking rope.
Yeah.
But so basically, yeah, Zach starts doing all these things that he wouldn't normally do because it's revealed to him right before the professor passes away that the professor never did any of the things that he said he did because he was too afraid. And just as he's like, finally, this time I'm actually going to do something. I'm going to go travel abroad. But unfortunately, the professor dies in their common room. And Zach takes it as a cue that, you know what, I shouldn't waste my life. Everybody starts worrying about him. Kelly in particular, who's against it. But finally, at the end of the episode, just as he's about to jump out of a fucking plane with Screech and Slater, Kelly shows up at the landing site and says over the headset, "Don't do this. I love you." And that's
Well,
when it clicks, and he's just like, "Oh, this is a mistake." But what it is, something happens, and all three of them fall out of the plane, and he shows up at the end, and they kiss, and this is basically leads into the last few episodes, and where they have spoilers eventually get married in the movie.
you forgot one key aspect
Probably.
at this for this episode. Before the funeral, Zach, no, after the funeral, Zach directly asks Kelly, "Do you love me?"
Yeah.
And she said no.
Yeah. And that's what causes it. Isn't that what causes it? You're right. Yeah, I did forget about that. I'm sorry.
That is key. That is key.
That is key. It's just sorry. A lot of the stuff that he does in this episode kind of, for me, sometimes overpowers that. Like, first thing he does is he buys a fucking Harley.
What a sick bite.
Yeah, no joke. What a sick bite. But I mean, it just shows how much everybody cares about him because it's pretty evident that Zach is not handling A, the rejection of the love of his life very well, and B, the death of a professor who he's come to appreciate. He did not handle it well. So, yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
When you say this professor outside of the building impacted Zach the most out of all the professors or teachers?
It would appear, the way they were playing it off, it would appear so. But actually, I'm going to have to give that to Lasky.
Okay.
There is another teacher that could qualify that, and we'll get to it when it gets to my list.
Okay.
On my list.
So,
Yeah, your
my number 4 is bedside manner.
That's on my honorable mentions.
Okay. Should we talk about it now?
Of course, it's on my honorable mentions.
Okay. This episode, Zach takes a job at the hospital to work close to Kelly to be with her because he loves her. She still doesn't show no feelings because she's still hung up on Nasty, who ends up at the hospital because of an ulcer. And she captures Nasty like she shouldn't be. Meanwhile, Zach says, "Yeah, you'll be fine. Please talk to me."
Yeah.
Also, Dean McMahon gets.
Dean McMahon, played by the great Holland Taylor. For those who don't know, she's Charlie and Alan's mom from 2.5 Men.
She gets hospitalized from a flu shot, right?
Yeah, so we're supposed to get a shot, but it sounded like Zach rigged it, so she got more, and she had a bad reaction to it. So Zach Morris.
And then Zach got fired because of that. And then he ends up in the hospital. No, he goes to the hospital as a patient.
First he was an employee, gets fired. Then, because he can't spy on Kelly and Lasky, he pretends to be injured, but everything they put him through actually puts him in the hospital.
And then the Swedish ends up in his orderly, which
Yeah.
is funny, giving him barium and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
then my favorite moment in this episode, Zach gets healed off and Kelly finally has a moment of
Clarity.
clarity and she finally tells him nasty and she realizes how much he loves Zach.
No, that actually happens the next episode, really, because the next one is
My,
Love and Death. But this is where we get the first hints of it for sure. Because as she says to Lasky, that's a guy that's willing to go through anything for me. You never would. And then hits him
no,
with
he
it.
won't.
Yeah.
So what's your number four?
Rush Week.
I'm going to that's higher on my list.
So it's a
But
punt.
that one,
It's a punt.
okay.
What's your number 3?
Running fans.
Actually, honestly, didn't make any of my lists, even though it was a good final episode for what they had to do. Because
It was a good setup episode.
yeah,
He was Kenny and Zach on a cage. Slater is against it. The Swedish is the best man. Leslie and Alex are fighting over being made of honor
that's
because,
something we haven't done. Is we haven't introduced the new characters yet.
okay, yeah, we should do that, shouldn't we?
Yeah, so basically to replace Belden, they brought in the resident advisor Mike Rogers, who in his own right was a great, funny character.
Oh
And
my
then
god, I
for Kelly's,
love Mike.
oh, I love Mike. And then for Kelly's roommates, they brought in Leslie Tonkin. No, not Leslie Tompkins. Is actually Leslie Burke.
Yeah.
And then my personal favorite of the new character recruits, Alex Tabor. I love Alex. She's
Oh, it's so funny.
yeah. The actress who played her, Kirsten Warren, is fucking hilarious. But anyways, back to your episode.
Oh yeah, really fan. So more Alex and Leslie is acting me made of honor, and he said yes without Kelly knowing. And then,
Or don't forget Lisa.
no, I mean, how to get there.
Sorry.
And then as a surprise, Zach had Lisa show up as a special guest.
Yep. And he
And-
promised her the bridesmaid,
Right, no,
maid of honor.
no, she said she would, nobody promised her. She said, Kelly already said I could.
Yeah. Which
Well, the three of them end up arguing over who's going to be friends. I've been on. I have to say, I really like this episode. And Zach realizes they have to get permission from Dean McMahon to get off campus, so
yeah.
they end up sucking up to her. Which is,
Well, it's yes, but it's when she realizes that they'll be living off campus that she's just like, yeah, so let's arrange everything. Hey, I know a great person.
no, and once she realizes they might not be dropped out of school.
Yeah. That just shows how much of a dick she is.
And I love the bloopers in this episode. Slater telling Lassie they're getting married, and Lassie keeps pulling up the water.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm surprised I didn't include this anywhere on my list. But, I actually side with Slater on this a little bit. I understand what they did with the show, blah, blah, blah. But if you think about it, for me, sometimes they can be a little too young.
Well, yeah, look at them. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. And yes, it's very clear that it worked out because they are still together in the reboot and stuff, but it's just something. I side with him based mostly on his worry for his friends. And I'm happy he finally did come around.
What made him come around? Do we know?
Fuck. You know what? It's been a couple weeks since I've actually watched this episode. I don't remember, but I do remember it was significant enough.
Okay.
And then another takeaway from this is actually going to go into the movie a little bit, but it's funny because Alex and Leslie are both fighting over to be who the bridesmaid is, but Leslie is not even in the movie.
And Alex is barely in it.
Yeah, she's relegated to a cameo, which I understand because if you're wrapping up the whole series, you want it to revolve around the characters you've grown in love. I 100% agree with that. But on the flip side, if you're going to make a major part of your last episode, these two new characters fighting over who's going to be in your bride's party, include them fucking both in more than just a scene. And then definitely include one at all, at all.
I will include one. There was somebody else missing from the majority of that movie that should have been there.
Yes, but that's different, and we'll get into that when it
We'll
comes.
get into that for sure.
Yeah, that's a little different. Okay, so now my number 3, correct?
Wait,
No, we punted my 4, which was
yeah, you're number 3.
yeah, which is actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's actually the follow-up episode to my number 4. Just give me a second. No, actually, it's not. It is later on though, but it is the episode Screech Love.
Okay.
So what I love, one of the things I love more about this season is it plays in the maturity of it. Is they finally come to realize Screech isn't their lesser. And this and another, this and Rush Week are the two episodes that embody that. Because I mean, if you think about it through high school, Screech was always there. Yes, they love Screech. He is one of their best friends. But because he is so odd, they've always looked at him as lesser. And they never thought that maybe some girl doesn't like Zach and maybe likes him. And that's what happens in this episode because Zach, meets the hot tennis star on campus and he's trying to mac with her. So because she's failing in something, she's like, hey, we'll get Screech to help her. Unbeknownst, mutual feelings actually happen between the two. And Zach can't reconcile the fact that maybe somebody likes Screech more than they do him because that never happened in high school. And he finally realizes that this isn't high school.
Actually, it did happen in high school. It's me and Kelly.
I wouldn't count that. Not like this. Because Screech and Zach and Kelly did end up together.
Okay.
Right? And they did date. And I mean, that's just one of those, that was just a fleeting moment sort of thing. This is slightly a little different because the tennis star, Screech is really the first person who's looked at her as who she is, not the tennis player. You know what I mean? And so I think that's why she's attracted to him. And Screech likes her because she likes him for who he is. Right. And it does not sit well with Zach. But you know what? Zach finally has his moments after Screech moves out and ruins Mike's living arrangement, which is funny in itself. But this was a good. Oh yeah. And that's one of the things I like about the bloopers is the stuff they do to Mike. Yeah. But no, I mean, this, like I said, I like it because you're finally, this and Rush Week is when you finally see that they're starting to accept Screech as their equal. Yeah. Okay, so what's your number dos?
My number 2 is Rush Week.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank.
Okay. So basically, Rush Week, the boys are all trying to pledge a fraternity led by the great Matt Letcher, who a lot of people will know as Eobard Thawne from The Flash, who I know as Capitan Harrison Love from The Mask of Zorro. I know as Mike Love from a Mean Boy movie. That too, yes. And you look at him, it's like, I see it. But yeah, so basically, they're trying to pledge a fraternity who is kind of snobbish. Screech really wants to get in, and of course the other two want to reap the benefits of being a fraternity. And it turns out when they rush, Zach and Slater get in, but Screech doesn't, and so there's a little bit of a war that ends up happening because Screech thinks that they don't think he's good enough to be in the frat, even though they're like, well, why didn't you pick Screech, right? And then it ends up coming when they decide that Zach and Slater say they don't want anything to do with it, and they actually end up taking Screech in his place. And so again, this is where they start. The other episode I just talked about is where they truly realize Screech is their equal, but this is where the seeds of that start. Like, you know what? Screech doesn't need them for everything, and Screech needs to do these things on his own. And he's a good dude. Give him a shot, you know?
I really like that element of that, right. And don't forget the B storyline where Alex and Kelly are joining rival sorority sisters.
Yeah,
And they keep getting into little scraps throughout the episode,
yeah.
which
And
is
meanwhile, the
funny.
one who's actually getting into sorority, Leslie, because she is a legacy, doesn't want anything to do with this shit.
Oh, college life.
Oh, I wouldn't know. Okay, so that was your number two. My number two is Slater's War.
Great episode.
Yeah.
Great.
So this is how you do Zach's War right. Remember that episode in the original series where Zach found out he was half Native American?
That's a different episode, but yeah.
Yeah, well, no, I'm saying this is how you do
No,
that storyline correct.
no, you're making up episodes in the original series. Zach was when they were in the
Right.
OOTC.
Sorry, I meant running Zach. Sorry,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but basically, this is how you do running Zach correct.
Yeah.
Basically, so what it is Slater, again, a girl, he decides to join a student activist group because of a female. But then while he's doing that, he learns to embrace his Hispanic heritage because he doesn't really know anything about his heritage, and he finds out that his dad changed his name from Sanchez to Slater so he could join the U.S. military. And so this episode is about Slater trying to find his roots, and Zach, being selfish Zach as he can, thinks that Slater finding out who he is ruining Zach's chances to mac on some girl at a ski hill, and this causes a major rift between them because, like Slater said, it's like, dude, for once, back me up on this. And yeah, as usual, finally Zach comes around at the very end. But this fucking what's her face, Alex, in this, oh my god, when she's trying to be an activist, oh dear god, it's just, you can tell she's a theater major because she hams it up big time.
Yep. Yeah, this is a great episode.
Yeah, this didn't hit anything on the head. This was about a character finding out who he really is, and like I said, this is how you do running Zach right.
And they try to stick with continuity with this, kind of. You know, Slater said to Zach, you know me for 5 years. And that's how long the show's been on.
Which is true. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's true.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I appreciate the fact that, yeah, he says to Zach, like, you don't really know who I am, do you? Right? Zach sometimes puts monetary gains and what he wants over what everybody else thinks. Even though you know in deep down Zach is a good guy, sometimes most of the time he thinks too much about himself.
Right. Yeah, good, thought-provoking episode.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So before we hit our number ones, let's quickly hit up our honorable mentions. So what are yours?
A Thanksgiving episode?
That's on my honorable mention as well.
The pilot?
Didn't even make it.
And the poker game.
Poker game was a fun episode. So my honorable mentions are Thanksgiving episode, Bedside Manner, we already talked about, and the second to last episode, Marry Me, which is the one where Zach asks Kelly to finally marry him because she's about to go on a semester abroad and he does not want to lose her again. Yeah. This is for me is one of the more iconic moments of All of Saved by the Bell, is him getting on that boat saying, I love you. I don't want to lose you because I know there is a chance with 3 months abroad. And he's like, you know what? Let's get married.
Do you think he was in the wrong or do after? Like that?
I think he was in the wrong for trying to make her feel bad for going.
Okay.
But to ask her to no, if you know what? Okay, full disclosure, as someone who's never, ever, ever been in this situation, and probably not for any time in the foreseeable future, because the universe fucking hates me. I understand. If you know it's right, you grab onto it and you hold on for your dear life. So no, I do not. While I do think yes, they were too young, I do not think it was a mistake for them to get married.
Yeah. I like when Zach was running snare, snare screech, so he could get the
Yeah,
screech.
yeah, and then
That's the old Zach boy that we
oh, of
knew.
course. And
That
one,
makes vintage Zach.
what ended up happening for Screech to get off? Because obviously you need him there for the end. What was it? He took too much allergy medicine and he started to
He
OD or
went
something
too
like that.
much,
Yeah, too much of the patches and he was
yeah.
seeing things. Yeah. And Mike's like, okay, you're not going anywhere. Because yeah, I mean, you could have honestly, you could have flipped Screech for anybody, but then Screech wouldn't have had anything to do because you needed to find a way for him to be there for the wedding. So it's like it's a little bit weird in that sense, but yeah, no, it was a for me, it's even though it didn't make my list, the moment on the boat is one of the most iconic Saved by the Bell moments of all time.
Do you like the bloopers at the end of this episode?
I love the bloopers on the end of all these episodes. Like I said, it was a nice added touch to make it different. My
Agreed.
favorite blooper though was probably the one where Zach got slapped in the movie theater.
That was from the episode where he pretended to be Lasky, right?
Oh God, was that the one? No.
Yeah.
Was it?
I think so because Zach Kelly and when Alex already pretended to one of them pretended to be Lasky's ex-wife or wife.
Yeah. But Kelly was involved in that.
Right.
But they weren't spying on Lasky if Kelly was involved.
No, Zach was pretending to be Lasky.
This wasn't the same episode. Where I don't think it was God damn it, Ben. Now I'm just like, huh.
Maybe I'm wrong.
No, yeah, we'll have to get back to that later, but that's two different episodes because I'm looking at the one where he's Professor Zach, and the sub story on that one is the calendar.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or no, you know what? No, you are right. That is the one where he pretends because I'm just like because I'm sitting there thinking Alex pretends to be his wife and then Kelly pretends to be his baby mama. You're right. Kids don't smoke weed. Jesus, I swear sometimes, man. Since I started becoming a stoner, I think sometimes I get dumber. Okay, so yeah, enough of that debacle. What is your number one?
Guess who's coming to college?
Oh, okay, that is a good episode. Yes.
I mean, what can I say about it? The kid's going to college and has a prize. Kelly shows up. And just what happens, the final female in that roommate in that room moved out. So Kelly moves in.
Moved out, got fired because Kelly wanted to come back. Whatever you want to say.
Yeah, potato, right? Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Who are you gonna believe?
Yeah. So, the fact that Disney goes out on a date, and as they were coming home and as they were getting ready to kiss, in comes Kelly. You
Yep.
surprised that?
And all because Screech decided that, hey, you need a room? Our old roommate moved out.
Just after Zach tells Disney, Kelly died because he fell overboard on it.
This is Zach Morris, not at his douchiest, at his dumbest. Like, I get it. He never thought in a million years Kelly would show up, but still, come on. It's known that your two roommates are two of your oldest friends. Like, and one can't shut up.
All I can say is that would we have expected anything different?
No. And it's funny, like at the beginning of the series, especially in the pilot, it appeared that it was going to be Zach and Leslie were going to be the couple.
Right.
That quickly dropped as soon as Kelly showed up. It didn't last long.
Yeah, because
I think it lasted like maybe one or two more episodes after the second episode.
I think Before they knew Kelly was coming back, Leslie was going to meet a love interest.
Yeah. And which I'm glad they did because personally, I don't think Kelly and Leslie had chemistry.
I mean, the second Leslie.
Yes. Yes, kids, don't do drugs. Stay off the cough syrup. It's been a long few days.
Thank you, that. What is the number one, Matt?
A question of ethics.
Great episode.
It is a really good episode. This is the one where I said earlier that maybe there might be another professor that actually impacted Zach quite a bit, which unfortunately the lesson from this episode completely disappears by the time we get to the reboot. But basically, hold on. Where is the episode on IMDb? There it is. After a new professor takes over their ethics class, the gang faces a dilemma when Zach gets his hands on a copy of the midterm. So basically, they all think this is going to be an easy-ass class until the most terrifying professor on campus shows up, played by none other than Robert Guillaume, who is a great actor. And basically, his whole thing is pointing out how much bullshit there is, and he accidentally drops a copy of the midterm, and Zach's like, "Oh, I'm going to pass this course." Everybody starts to get in on it, and everybody has their own dilemma. Leslie being the one with the most, because she's the one the whole time saying, this is wrong. You guys shouldn't be doing this. She tears it up. Meanwhile, while everybody's down in the garbage later on the night trying to find the pieces, she tries to sneak down as well, proving she is no different than any of the other guys. And then the next day in class, they tell the professor what happened. He says, "Well, there you go. That's your test." It's basically what I strategically placed various copies of the midterm all over the school just so I could see how everybody would react. And this was your test. And then he asks them, "What grade do you think you deserve?" And they all open up honestly. And Leslie's like, "Hey, I deserve an A because I'm the one who said the whole time that it was wrong." But basically, that was their life lesson. It's just like, what are you going to do in this situation? Like, it's just going to come up more than once probably in your life. And it all depends on how you handle it. And I personally liked this. I think it's a great lesson.
It is a great episode. And I
Yeah.
like the P storyline too, where
Yeah.
Screech feels into a stranger at the campus lunch snack,
Yeah.
lunch shop, and he gets Kelly and Mike to help him.
Because he is so fucking inept at it. But somehow he still manages to fall his way into assistant manager.
And then he fires himself.
Yeah, he fires everybody. He fires himself while dressed in a sombrero, trying to, what was it, hype Taco Tuesday or something like that, Mexican Day. Like, but yeah, no, the big takeaway from this is the lesson that Dr. Hemmings gives them. And like I said, Robert Guillaume is a great actor, and he was given 0 Fs to the rest of the characters. He wasn't falling for any of their shenanigans, which was pretty nice.
But one of the funniest moments in this episode for me is when all the gang is in the dumpster, and then they hear somebody coming, and out comes Screech. And
Yeah,
he's just singing a Sesame Street song.
such a Screech moment.
So much.
So personally, for me, I think this was a show that was canceled too soon. Sorry, Bibbs and Whitney. I wish it had gone on longer, but the circumstances that they were in, like I said, it was a show that originally excelled in Saturday mornings, but they moved it to a slot that it shouldn't have been in. There's a lot of things were against it. But anyways, it actually ended up giving us what we're going to talk about next, which is I wish more canceled series did this, but a TV movie to wrap everything up, and that is Saved by the Bell, Wedding in Las Vegas. Ben, what did you think of this? What did you think
I
of it?
loved it. I loved it. The movie, it was great.
Yes, it was. I've seen this movie God knows how many times, but it is still weird seeing these characters outside of the multi-camera setup. No studio audience. It was a little weird seeing these guys transported into the real world, if you know what I mean,
Yeah.
like into a movie setting. It's a little off-putting, no matter how many times you see it. But I liked it a lot. I still like it a lot after all these years.
Me too. And funny fact, this time when I watched it, I realized that the exterior of Bayside, because it's somewhere else in this movie, the high school they use is right down the street from me. Like, literally, what you entered my house, maybe 30-second walk to the next
Damn.
door,
Wait,
to
now,
the school.
1994. Were you living in that house at that time?
No,
Ah,
no.
damn. That would be
I moved into this house 3 years ago.
well,
No,
okay.
yeah.
So I'm going to give a brief summary because I found the synopsis and that would take too long for me to read the whole thing because I literally wrote up the entire movie. So the summary in this conclusion of the long-running series, it finally happens. Kelly and Zach will marry. Zach's parents are against the early commitment, and Kelly's parents can't afford it. So only the gang travels to Las Vegas for the wedding. However, before the wedding can happen, they have to live through many adventures, including Zach losing his hard-earned money, Kelly becoming jealous, and Slater being chased by mobsters.
Of course, because doesn't everybody get chased by mobsters?
Yeah, it is Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically we start off, the gang goes, why they went, because from what I gather, Cal U, the college they went in, was more in the Bay Area, so they drove up to Los Angeles and then drove back down to Vegas, and it's just like, well, why didn't you just drive to Vegas? Did they go to get their
Well,
parents' permission? Is that why they ended up going to Los Angeles?
no, because they went, I think, oh wait, maybe.
Just because they didn't specifically say where Cal U is, but just from the hints of it, it sounds like it's in the Bay Area. Wait,
Maybe they needed to go to Los Angeles.
Bay Area is above Los Angeles, correct?
Yeah, maybe I bet they
Yeah, I was
wanted
thinking
to
San
go,
Diego. I was thinking San Diego is what I was thinking.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And
So
I think they've been in L, basically.
okay,
From the Bay Area to,
I'm Canadian. I don't know California geography. Sue me. No, don't. I'm not worth shit. Um, but yeah,
I right now, without getting too deep, I'd rather be a Canadian
yeah.
right
Let's
now.
that right now. So
Yeah.
yeah, basically Zach and Kelly they go up to talk to their parents about what's going on. You get a very heartfelt scene with Zach's dad. And you see his mom, and she's like, "Look, I want to support you, but I can't unfortunately go against your dad on this." But luckily, she gives them vouchers she won at a church poker game, which is like church poker, huh? Oxymoron. But yeah, basically, she gives them passes to stay at one of the fancy hotels for the weekend. And she's like, "Oh, sorry, son, that's all I can do. I wish I could be there." So heartbroken, they go and they decide to make a bet out of it on who could get there first. And in this case, Lisa's new car breaks down, and this is where they pick up the hitchhiker, the really hot hitchhiker. And then on the other side, the boys end up getting arrested in some backwoods county because their vehicle they're driving is apparently stolen, which, spoiler, it's not. It's similar to the one that got stolen. This is how Zach loses all his money because, unfortunately, if they didn't bribe the sheriff, they'd have to wait till Monday to get out. And yeah, so they do that. They get there. Zach, he doesn't want to tell Kelly about what happens. So he's trying to find a way to get money for the wedding. So him and Screech decide become. Well, no. First, the three boys decide that they're going to be caddies, which is a disaster. And then
Well,
after,
I mean, okay, hold on a moment. If we just call Roy's Mr. Before that, they were doing okay. I think they were being good caddies before that.
yeah, okay, fair enough.
And the only reason Zach caught went into the lake was because he was trying to help his friend. I think they got fired too quickly, personally.
Well, they did. I just don't think they had the people that they were caddying for fire them, but it's like I don't know who they are when it's relation to the golf course. But in order to move the plot forward, somebody had to fire them, and because of this, they run into none other but the great Gilbert Gottfried, who ends up playing a gigolo, a pimp of some sorts, because he hires the boys to become male escorts to take the ladies around town. And so good old Screech ends up being with the stereotypical over exuberant, flashy woman who's trying to make herself feel better, I guess is the way you can say it. I don't know how to put it in a nice.
I think you put it as well as you could.
Yeah, because at the time you saw a lot of this. The character's name was Diana Beaujolais. I'm not even gonna ask.
Well, don't forget. when they went to the nightclub in season 3, Screech had somebody say nightcap.
Yeah, that's true. Screech is really he really brings in the
He
weirdos.
has a type. He
Yeah,
has a type.
yeah, the weirdos. But anyways, so and then Zach, he ends up getting paired with a hot woman because of course it's gonna happen to Zach. But unfortunately, their date is on the same night at the same time as his and Kelly's date at the exact same restaurant. So dumbass decides to do two dates at once. Like
If Robert Williams couldn't do it and Mrs. Doubtfire, what makes you think you can do it?
right? And sidebar, did you realize that Mrs. Doubtfire is now a Disney princess?
Okay, you go down and explain to me that after.
Well, it's brief thing short. A lot of people saying that movies that are required by Disney with female characters are Disney princesses, so you could technically throw in Mrs. Doubtfire in there. But I digress. Anyways, Kelly finds them on the date, and of course she says, "I don't want anything to do with you. You're scum." Blah blah. Zach's just like, "You gotta listen to me." She won't have any of it, so she goes up in her room. She's trying to unpack. Zach thinks it's a good idea to try to sneak from one balcony to the other to tell her this. Now this is where Slater comes in. So he meets earlier in the movie at I can't remember where he meets, but he meets the very attractive Lyd Vassy. I have had a crush on her since I was a little kid. Okay.
She was on everything when we were kids.
During that time, oh yeah, and like I said, very attractive woman. Anyways, they meet. They hit it off. They go on a date. Shit goes wrong because it was revealed that she used to date a mobster and she knows information. So the mobster's two thugs are trying to get her to silence her, and then Slater gets dragged into this. So they end up running away throughout the whole whole hotel and everything. They end up in the room, and while trying to escape, this is where they run across Zach, who's hanging from a fucking balcony. And so shit happens. Zach's about to fall. Kelly comes out. She's like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, "Listen to me." And he explains to her everything that happened, and she believes him because, I mean, really, it's too stupid to not be true. Really. So she says she forgives him. They pull him out, and now they got to figure out how they're going to get rid of the guards. So of course they do more running amok throughout the hotel. They run into the hitchhiker that the girls picked up, who is revealed to be the son of the owner.
Of course.
Later. That's a little bit later. Basically, he's like, "I know a way to get you guys out of here," and he dresses them up in showgirl costumes, which is pretty fucking funny. Yeah. Anyways, so they manage to sneak out, but unfortunately, they get identified by the thugs who take them. And this is where it's revealed that this hitchhiker is the son of the hotel owner, and he takes them to the diamond that the thugs and their boss are trying to steal. So using a tactic that we were shown earlier in the movie, the Three Stooges tactic, where Zach and Slater get into a fight, they push Screech around as a diversion, and in a bingo, bango, bongo, they get their guy, and they lock them all into the security safe. Very convenient, nice little wrap up. And then, so they're like, well, shit, we got to get married. So they go to just one of those cheap wedding places in Vegas. And just as they're about to get married by Gilbert Gottfried, because it turns out, of course, he owns more than one business.
Of course.
Yeah. So as they're about to get married by Gilbert Gottfried, when he says, "Who objects?" Zach's dad walks in to save the day. And it's like, "Dad, what are you doing here?" He's like, "An old friend told me that I would regret it if I wasn't here." And that's what he says to Slater. And it's like, okay, yeah, Slater, you did good. So they said, "Look, give us a couple days and we'll have the wedding you deserve." So next scene, they're having the wedding outside of the hotel. And it's exactly what you would think of. Beautiful scenery, nice, beautiful day, out in the open on the lawn. They have guests there. Belding is there. Alex is there. Mike is there. No Leslie. Don't know why she wasn't there. I legit looked. I couldn't find anything on why she wasn't there. I did.
Probably not. Why would we need her? It's not simple.
But that's probably what it is. But it is one of those things like, look, she was vying so hard to be a bridesmaid. Why wasn't she there?
I wonder if
for continuity reasons, it makes no sense.
I'm just wondering if the same people behind the commentaries are the ones behind the movie.
It is. I've looked. So there's really no explanation. It's probably just as something as simple as just like, well, we don't really need her. But I mean, just for continuity's sake, it would have made sense. But anyway, as they're about to get ready, all of a sudden we hear, wait a minute, hold on. None other than the final missing piece shows up, Jesse Spano. Now, I'm not going to lie. I wish he had been there in the last episode of the college years, and for more of the movie. But I understand why Elizabeth Berkley wasn't there, because she was filming the infamous Showgirls at the time.
Oh, God.
Which, you know what? If you ask me, when it comes to your career, like at that time, Showgirls probably would have been the more enticing of the two, because it was supposed to be a big breakout thing. As we all know now, it's a laughingstock that's got a cult
Well,
status.
I mean, okay, you can say the same thing about Will Smith and Matrix.
Of course, hindsight 2020, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
you got to put yourself at the time. The Showgirls was a major motion picture. I get it, but yeah. So finally, she shows up and she finally completes the puzzle, and we see Zach and Kelly get married. And as they're doing their vows, we see a very lovely montage of all the things they've been through from the beginning of Saved by the Bell to the wedding years. I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about that, but I think it might be because I'm sick. I don't know. But then next we get Zach and Kelly saying thank you to everybody who showed up. So Belling is there. Alex threatens, says, I'm only on the other side of the campus. You better treat her right. Jesse says, look, if you don't treat her right, I'm going to kill you. We get a best man speech from Slater, which personally I thought they could have done better with. I think it was just too. It was lazy.
Short. Yeah, it was like generic.
Very generic, because think about how much that those characters have gone through. Why? Like, this is what, if I were to sit down with the creators and I'd have questions with them, this would be one is like, why? Like, anyways. And then, of course, they get into movies getting finished. They hop into a limo to get on their way to go on their honeymoon. Lisa's going to go with the stranger to an Indian reservation. Sorry for being politically incorrect. That's just what they called it in the show, and I'm just doing this on the fly. A reservation. Slater and Carla, who is played by Liz Vassy, are going to actually try this out. And Screech almost ends up with that crazy lady again, because she's chasing him. Sammy, I love you. And then Screech ends up catching the bouquet, because of course Screech is going to catch the bouquet. Yeah. And then Zach and Kelly ride off into the sunset, and this would be the last time we actually see them together in official canon until the reboot,
Right.
because Kelly did not appear when during the was it Save the Max episode of the New Class. She didn't appear in that.
And
It was just Slater and Zach.
And Lisa.
And Lisa, yeah.
But I'm like, you have no way to prove about Leslie. I have no way to prove that the writers don't consider this canon anymore. That the New Class.
I personally hope it's not myself, but that's just me.
Yeah, me too.
So yeah, basically the Saved by the Bell as we knew it finished. And so what were your thoughts?
It was a great series, a great movie to wrap it up. I mean, we'll talk about the other movie next week, I think. But and this reminded me a lot of the Entourage movie. Because that was a movie that was basically the series finale we never got for that show.
I'm sorry, I actually missed the name of the show. Who was it again?
Entourage.
Oh, really? I never watched Entourage. I thought it was a dumb show, so I couldn't tell you.
It was fun.
But I mean, was the movie actually this year act as a family?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, I think it did. But anyway, yeah, they made a great wrap up to a great show. It had its highs and had its lows, but it was fun to rewatch this with you, Matt.
There was, yes, I agree. It was a fun rewatch. It would have made more enjoyable if I didn't have to worry about the fucking order.
I know, me too.
Right?
Man, me too.
But I look at it. It's funny. The original series is very dated, but you look at the other one, and outside of some '90s stuff, it's not that dated.
Well, when you say the other one, you mean
Like the college years in the movie. That's more what I meant. I mean, yes, they are. You could tell that they're in the '90s, but they're not as dated as the original series was.
I think they played it up in the original series, I think.
Oh, probably. You might not be wrong. Like I can't remember at this point. But also, Yeah, I agree with you. The way they wrapped it up, I like how they were able to do it at pretty much short notice because the college years was canceled. And I mean,
Yeah.
with a show as iconic as Saved by the Bell, you can't leave it on a cliffhanger. I mean, Full House did it for 20 years, but you cannot leave a show like that on a cliffhanger. And I'm glad they were able to wrap everybody's story up the way they did.
I'm not so happy they got Bill in European.
Yeah, you can
That was a great touch.
100%. The only way it would have been better is if he was the officiant. That's just more the nostalgia person in me. Like, it wouldn't make any sense whatsoever, but I would have loved it if he was the officiant.
It was neat. Michael Scott coming back for the finale of The Office.
Yeah, you could say that it just wasn't as impactful, but yeah, I definitely see where you're going with that comparison. Because really, Belding is the father figure of the show. No matter who comes and who goes, Belding is the father figure. He was a
100%.
major part of their lives, which, is not 100% accurate to real life because I don't know any principals that are that close with their students.
And not in real life, I'm feeling.
Yeah, that's true. Feeney is probably the more
I
iconic
would,
of that example.
yeah. I mean, I wouldn't put Feeny above building with stuff like that.
Yeah. And what I love is that in real life, Dennis Haskins has always embraced Mr. Belding. He's always appeared at all the conventions. He seems like he generally loves this. And honestly, if they do not bring him back for at least one episode of the revival, I will riot.
Do you think he should have been there last season? In the reboot?
No, because I don't think at this point he's a character that you can bring back full time. I want to see him come back for an episode, maybe two. What I really wish they did though was make Belding's son Zach a teacher. That would have made sense.
They could have made Belding a superintendent.
Yes, that would be cool. Superintendent.
Yeah.
They could still.
Yeah, they still could. Maybe Zach made him superintendent. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
Although,
We'll get into it, but I really do not like what they did with Zach and Kelly during the reboot. We will get into it more when we actually discuss it, but I feel with what they did in that reboot, they completely went too much into the Zach Morris is a douche and forgot all the lessons that he learned, which is weird because the guy who's the series runner on the reboot is a massive fan of the show.
do you think they kind of did the same thing with Slater? I'm not as bad, but they kind of changed him up a little.
Well, yes and no, but I mean, like, Slater was still kind of a sexist during the college years. Not as much as he was in the original series. And I mean, at least with him, we definitely got to see him realize that this isn't right. We do see him grow more than he did in the other series. Like, he grew, but not like this.
Could you really sit there and tell me that Slater that we saw in Ready to Las Vegas, that Slater would become a high school football coach?
Yeah, if shit didn't work out for him the way he wanted, because remember, he got into college on a wrestling scholarship. Yeah, so I mean, someone like that, I could definitely see him becoming a gym teacher. Like, I mean, that is probably the more realistic out of all of them.
Okay.
Well, him and who Jesse ended up becoming. Who he ended up becoming in the reboot, who Jesse ended up becoming in the reboot, and who Lisa ended up becoming in the reboot are probably the more true to real life. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I could see those characters ending up as that. Yes, I could see Zach Morris ended up as governor, but not as an asshole like that. And Kelly, what the fuck did they do to Kelly?
Maybe they're a stereotypical fish. Like,
Yeah. But like I said, I don't want to get into it too much because that's going to take away from our reboot talk.
yeah.
So overall, yeah, Saved by the Bell is still a fun show. It is very much, if you were to look at it now, somebody who's never seen the show before, I could see how people wouldn't like it. But as people who grew up with the show, it still hits in all the cylinders. It still makes me cry when it's supposed to. It still gives me goosebumps when it's supposed to. It still makes me laugh whenever I'm supposed to. It checks all the boxes.
What season would you say Zach Morris with Alicia?
4. The final season of the original show.
Okay.
Yeah. I'd say he's had douchier moments in the other episodes, but that episode was probably the one where he's had the most douchey moments. That season, I should say.
Okay. out of all the characters, do you have a favorite character from the franchise?
It's see, it's really hard because it is Zach because it's Zach, but I mean that's kind of almost the cop out answer. I'd say I would go with, you know what, I would go with Screech. Just because Screech's the one that made you laugh the most. And when they did the Screech centric episodes, how very few and far in between, they were some of the best episodes of that show.
You know what? I think I tend to agree. When he made you laugh, he made you laugh. When he made you cry, he
Yeah.
made you cry.
100%. Every time he's had to confront Zach about, hey, man, like, look at me different, you know? Like,
Yeah,
Dustin Diamond really nailed it when he had to. And
yeah,
I think that's why it's as impactful as it is because we're so used to seeing Screech as the bumbling idiot, the one always screwing up. So we wouldn't expect those moments from a character like that. So when they actually happen, I think that's probably why it hits more
right,
because we're seeing that side of him we don't always see.
right.
Yeah.
Agreed.
What about you? What's your favorite? With all the questions you asked me, we already know who your favorite character is. What season do you think Zach Morris was the douchiest in?
I think you're useless in the third season, the Malibu Sand
Oh
season.
yeah,
I think, I think when he was with Kelly in season two, I think she helped ground him a
Mhm.
little. And then once they broke up, he was back to being himself and excellent at it.
Yeah. That's the thing that I've never heard talked about him, and you just nailed it. Kelly grounded Zach.
Right?
And if you think a lot, with the exception of like one or two moments, a lot of the douchiest episodes happened when they weren't together.
Exactly.
So yeah, no, you're right. She definitely grounded Zach Morris.
And yeah, well,
All right. Well,
yeah,
yeah.
I
So
think
we've
that's
been at it
it.
almost an hour. I by this point I've been podcasting for 3.5 hours, so my ass is sore.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
yeah. So next week we're gonna cover the movie, but you know what I'm thinking? You want to do the movie and the Hawaiian style movie and the reboot at the same time. That way we can get a good hour out of it.
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah,
I
because
was
mostly I
thinking,
can't wait to hop onto the next show, but that's just me.
me too.
Okay, so yeah, next week it's decided we're gonna watch Hawaiian Style, which I know we probably should have watched earlier, but sue us. So we're gonna do Hawaiian Style, and we're gonna delve into the reboot and to give our thoughts on what they did right, what they didn't do right, which you already know one of my massives they didn't do right. Yeah, so next week's gonna be fun.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm 100% absolutely. And then we have,
Yes, we do have a bonus episode after that. Yeah.
right, and special guests.
Yeah, so basically what we're going to do is after we're done an entire series, we're going to do a recap episode where we're going to bring on a special guest who's a fan of the series, and we have found one. Now, if you watch Ben and mine's other show, Shooting the Breeze, he's already appeared on there. His name is John. He is from Movie Lovers Unite, a very good show, if you guys all want to check that out. He will be coming on with us and discussing why he loves Save the Bell. We're going to have some lists. We're going to have some fun with it. Top 5 Zach Morris douchiest moments, just that sort of stuff. It's going to be a fun episode. So we're planning on doing that after we finish every series that we do.
Yep.
Okay, so my voice is starting to go, so let's hop into the things. Ben, where can everybody find you?
You can find me right here on the Media Service Network every Tuesday on Shooting the Breeze with Matt here, every Saturday on Recapping the Past, this show, every Sunday on Catch Ready or Main Show when we're joined by Soul finishing some cake at Jordan, and also on Saturday, Mount Schmodown, my Schmodown show on a different channel.
Glad you remembered it this time. And you can find me on all the stuff that Ben listed on this channel, but you can also find me on my other channel, Schmoes of the North, where me and my friends Louis, Dave, and Daniel, we sit down and review what's going on in the world of Schmodown. Recently we released actually was our very first live episode of Northern Consultations, the show where we sit down and we talk to personalities from around the Schmodown, be it in front of the camera, behind the camera, That particular episode was a lot of fun because we brought on one of the newest people to enter in the draft, the Rager, Rick Radis. Man, that was a hoot of a 40-minute episode. Great. We had a lot of good fan interaction. We're probably going to do more live Northern consultations, so definitely look out for that down the pike. So as usual, thank you very much for joining us. I am Matt. That is Ben. We will see you next week as we wrap up, finally, Saved by the Bell. So until then, smash cancer. And don't forget, guys, time out.